Look, I had a pretty bland childhood growing up. It was just school, park, and watching TV. School sucked, but I had to go. Park was fun because you got to hang out with your friends and just be stupid. But when I came home from either one, there was a treasure chest of television shows that were on. Like an embarrassment of riches at my disposal. Disney Channel and Nickelodeon were producing an influx of generational shows, Cartoon Network was doing its thing, and then you had the WB Kids Saturday morning lineup to cap it all off. We legitimately couldn't lose. Even PBS Kids had shows like Arthur and Dragon Tales. I didn't watch Cyber Chase, leave me alone, I wasn't trying to learn about shit outside of school. But the point is, you could flip through any of these channels and there was something of quality to watch at any time of the day. I was born in the late 90s, so I grew up with early/mid 2000s Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, and it was just the best time for TV shows. Disney Channel had Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, That's So Raven, Phil of the Future, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Proud Family, Kim Possible, Hannah Montana, and a bunch more. Nickelodeon had SpongeBob, Prime SpongeBob that is, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Rocket Power, Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, Avatar The Last Airbender, Danny Phantom, Ned's Declassified, Zoe 101, and iCarly. Do you understand how insane these lists of shows are? Like, I'm in awe as I'm saying them. And these networks kept making bangers even after certain shows ended. Cartoon Network had Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Codename Kids Next Door, Samurai Jack, Billy and Mandy. Oh my god, bro, are you guys hearing this right now? Like, I'm dead getting chills listing off these shows. The sheer greatness that was in front of our eyes growing up. Like, I could only be thankful. But there was one show in particular that, in my opinion, held the crown. One show that, when I rewatch it, still slaps and still brings a smile to my ugly ass face to this day. That show is
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh.
Drake. Josh.
Everyone knows about it, everyone's seen it, everyone loves it. It is a massive staple of the Nickelodeon lore. The animated show that defines Nick is obviously SpongeBob, but in terms of which live action show defines Nick, I genuinely think it's Drake and Josh. Anyone who has watched the show has compared their friendships or sibling relationships, or whatever the case may be, to Drake and Josh. It's an easy show to fall for. The chemistry between all the actors, the shenanigans the boys get into, the organic and natural relationship Drake and Josh have with one another. The show has heart. It really does, and I know Disney and Nickelodeon humor is, targeted towards the younger demographic, but I've rewatched episodes of the show as a young adult, and I still laugh when watching it. While I think it's unfair to judge shows you grew up on when you're older cause shit you find funny as a kid isn't as funny when you're older, a lot of them do pale in comparison to Drake and Josh. And they're all still great shows, but I think that's a testament to how great D&J was. Like, none of these shows had a higher ceiling. I talked about this in the Bear video essay I made last year. One of the best qualities of that show compared to other streaming shows is that it's not just memorable for its moments, but for actual episodes. The same idea applies here to Drake and Josh. I remember a lot of moments from the television shows I previously mentioned, and I do in fact remember a lot of episodes, but with Drake and Josh, you have an easier time remembering most of its episodes compared to all the other shows. And I say this as someone who was both a Disney and Nickelodeon kid. I loved both channels equally, and I would watch everything they put out. Drake and Josh's episodes were structured in a way where there weren't any empty moments. The dialogue and interactions felt natural, and it felt like every episode included an iconic line. But you remember the Blues Brothers episode. The Soul Man dance scene is so fucking iconic. You remember the Peruvian Puff Pepper episode, the Foam Finger episode, the Theater Thug, Paging Dr. Drake, Steered Straight, the Treehouse, and of course, Josh is Done. Josh is Done is one of the best things Nickelodeon has produced, bar none. It was one of the few times, perhaps the only time, where we the audience thought, shit just got real. Our favorite duo got into an actual rift that we weren't accustomed to seeing in these sitcoms, especially from Disney or Nick. It kind of gave us a taste of what real life could sometimes be like when you distance yourself from people closest to you, and how the absence of someone you love can cause legitimate heartbreak. Drake and Josh was solidified as one of the best sitcoms at that time, but Josh is Done added another layer that brought it to another level and boosted its longevity. Fuck, what a tongue twister. More often than not, when you're discussing old shows you used to watch when you were younger and Drake and Josh comes up, people will be like, bro, remember the episode where Josh was done with Drake? And they'll go into detail about how that episode really had an impact on them. And that's an accomplishment, dude. And by the way, 2 for 2 when it comes to Drake and Josh movies. Drake and Josh Go Hollywood is fucking fantastic, and to live up to the hype, cause I remember it was a big deal that the show, which was dumb popular at the time, got a movie and they hit it out the park. Merry Christmas Drake and Josh, another banger. Definitely a different feel and vibe to it, especially cause it was a bit after the show ended, but still solid nonetheless. I was wondering if Really Big Shrimp was technically considered a movie, but I think it's just a longer TV episode, so I can't count it as a film. My fault! The show never felt like it was declining either. Each season seemed to be better than the previous, and I'm glad it ended when it did, cause it ended around the same time as Zoe 101 and Ned's Declassified. And those three were the titans that led the live action genre of the network back then. It was time, you know? A cultural shift was looming and it just felt like the end of an era. An underrated aspect of Drake and Josh is that the boys commonly took losses in life, like it wasn't just peaches all the time. Of course, they experienced wins here and there, but most of the time, we would laugh at consistent failures they'd go through. It kind of showed the real lifeness of it all, for lack of a better term. Even though Drake was propped as the quote-unquote cool guy, he still gets shit on. Josh is, by all accounts, a well-behaved, intelligent, stand-up human being who follows the rules and doesn't act out, and yet, still gets slapped up by life. Don't matter what type of person you are, you're not exempt from the unfairness of life. This piece of shit yet beautiful thing we call life. I can't relate to people who win constantly. I lose 90% of the time. Let me see losers, I can relate to them. And why does Drake and Josh stand out the most? Miley Stewart living a double life as a superstar pop singer is a really fun concept. An average person like Ned Bigby giving us tips on how to survive school is extremely unique. A teenager with psychic abilities having visions of the future like Raven Baxter is wildly interesting. So why does a sitcom with a rather simple premise claim the GOAT title of youth programming? Well, first off, it had the most creative intro. The split screen of the two sharing stories that would tell us more about their characters and lay the groundwork of what the episode would be about was a tremendous way to start the show. Drake and Josh has the basic structure and character dynamic of early 2000s sitcoms. Like, it's similar to Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire, where there's technically nothing really special about the main characters. They're not from the future like Phil, and they're not located at a cool boarding school like PCA. So it's written in a style of a sitcom from the early 2000s with humor that's familiar in the late 2000s. It's balanced extremely well as it draws you in with the comfort we're all used to with sitcoms as well as its outrageous shenanigans, but its humor also feels modernized, which allows it to cater to different generations. For someone who was a bit introverted as a kid and would stress about so many things, shows like Drake and Josh, as well as the other ones I listed, served as an escape from all that noise. They served as a much needed break from homework, they served as a basis of conversation in the cafeteria with your friends, and now they kind of represent a simpler yet enjoyable and carefree time in life. The world's so shitty now that you can't help but reminisce and be a bit nostalgic sometimes. Like, this show ended 18 years ago, bro. It's almost 2 decades. But I can only consider myself lucky to have experienced it and have a love for it that still carries through to this day. And let's stop rebooting / trying to reboot shows from our childhood. Let's just let them pass away peacefully and not taint their legacy. Fuck, I made that seem so sad. But yeah, let something amazing stay amazing. That was a good one, right? One final thing, I need a Drake and Josh DVD box set, bro. Physical media is where it's at, and I don't trust streaming with all the fucking missing seasons and episodes and bullshit like that. I think it'd be something cool to own and have as a token of your adolescence. Fire blue and green color combo on the case, all 4 seasons, every episode, include all the movies too. Probably won't happen, but we move. Look, I don't really have anything revolutionary to talk about when it comes to Drake and Josh, but I don't know, I mean, I think it's important to write about stuff that, like, you got love for, especially these days, you know? Sometimes the worst part about getting older is how quick time feels like it's moving, leading us to forget how old these shows are actually becoming. But they were there when we needed them the most, and that's all that matters.